see. Hey, Paulette. You know what, Paulette? I didn't tag Johanna. Can you tag her? Oh, you sure did. All right, y'all. So I had to rush y'all off last time because I had a client that I couldn't like get rid of. I told her I'll be there at 6, and I actually told her I wasn't coming in at all. And then she asked me if I could come in at 6. So I was like, let me go on ahead and do it. So I had to leave in the middle. So I'm just going to recap the laws that we talked about already. All right. So I'm going to put them in the banner so that we remember. Remember, we did the law of divine oneness that said that everybody's connected. So if you do something to somebody else, you might as well be doing it to yourself. So that was number 1, the law of divine oneness, basically saying, like, you know, don't do to people what you don't want done to you. It's really that simple, you know. The law of divine oneness, though, also talks about the impact of what we're doing, whether it's immediate or long term. So there are certain things that you're going to do where the impact is going to be immediate, and there are certain things you're going to do where the impact is going to take years to show up. So it allows you to take accountability for yourself. Then we did the law of vibration or energy and how everything is in constant movement and carries energy. I talked about, like, you know, people talking about crystals and stuff and saying like crystals are the devil or from the devil or they're demonic, when really it's all an energy, it's all a frequency, it's all a vibration. So, you know, if you want to align with certain vibrations, then you wear something or be near things that have that vibration, even people. So you can be around people that don't have good vibrations and then it jump off on you. Hold on. This isn't Coke, y'all. It is super dark and green because it's chlorophyll in my water. I'm trying to get on my health wave, y'all. It's like 76,000 benefits to it. So I'm not going to get into it now, but look it up. It works. So then we did a law of correspondence, right? We went through that. Every action that we do is going to be reflected in this world some type of way. So think about your actions before you're doing it. And then look for the patterns in your life. Remember that, looking for the patterns, things that constantly keep showing up for you, because it means that you are either consciously, subconsciously, or unconsciously doing things that are bringing these. We did the law of inspired action, and this was all about taking divinely inspired steps. So remember, I talked about being silent, being quiet, not always having to have background noise, especially as women, because you need to be able to tap in as a woman. Like, you can't not tap in. That's a guy thing when you can't tap in. I don't know if y'all know that, but tapping in means that, so I don't know if you guys know this, but there's like 7 energy systems in the body, energy sources. So you have your chakras, you have your bottom ones and your top ones. Women operate in their top ones, men mainly operate in their bottom ones. So your sacral, your solar plexus and down is usually masculine, and solar plexus and up is feminine. So Men usually operate with the solar plexus, which is the source of power, sacral, which is the source of sexual energy, and the red root chakra, which is the source of money and your stature and position in life. So, and up above the chakra, you have the green, which is your heart chakra. Then you have the blue, which is your throat chakra. Then you have indigo, your third eye, and then you have white, which is your chakra that's connected to source or connected to your that would be the one that's connected to God. So you got to be able to be silent. Sometimes you got to stop doing stuff. Like there's times where you just like, a lot of people don't like to be in silence because the silence tells you the answer to the questions. The silence tells you why you are where you are. The silence tells you why your life is the way it is. And the silence tells you what you did that you could have fixed, but nobody wants to hear it because then it holds you accountable. Hey, Joanna. It holds you accountable. So just make sure that you are not afraid of the silence, that you're not afraid of being alone. And when I say being alone, I don't mean being by yourself all the time. I mean being alone, being able to tap in. Women need to be able to tap in without being, okay, let me just say this real quick. I know I'm probably getting off, but if you are a woman who can't tap in, you're useless. And the reason why is because women are the manifestors in this world. We are the birthers. That's what we do. We get the seed, we cultivate the seed, we birth the seed, whether it's physically or spiritually. If you can't tap in, you be having mad spiritual abortions, like low key. So if you can't tap in, it's no different than getting pregnant and not eating. It's no, or not going to any of your prenatal appointments, not being checked, not drinking a lot of soda, eating a lot of junk. Like the baby that you're carrying is going to be malnourished. So it's no different spiritually. If you get a spiritual seed and you're not feeding it correctly, you can't tap in, which tapping in would be like going to your doctor's appointments physically. Tapping in would be your prayer, your meditation, your silence, your getting information from your God, from your higher source. You're useless because you can't birth, like you can't bring anything into the world. You can't bring anything into fruition. So you got to be able to tap in. You got to turn down the background noise. You don't always got to be somewhere. Get in a house, sit down, and don't touch nothing sometimes. That's all you got to do. It doesn't take much. And you don't even have to do it all the time and every day, but you have to have those times in your life in certain time frames, whether it's once a week, whether it's twice a week, whether it's once a month, and you go into a sabbatical. You gotta do it. Men do sabbaticals, women more do like spiritual retreats. Sabbaticals for men are different than spiritual retreats are for women, but you gotta do them. You gotta do them. All right, so that was the law of inspired action. Then we did the law of attraction, that we are the people. Like attracts like. So we are the ones that are attracting everything that comes into our life. We attracted it some way, somehow, some way, shape, or form. We brought it here, whether it is through thought or whether it's indeed you brought it here. So if you want manifestation in your life, you got to align with what you want manifested. And when I say align, I mean you have to get your mind, spirit, and body aligned with what it is that you want. So a lot of people be like, well, I pray a lot about money. I pray a lot about this. I pray a lot about that. Prayer is not asking God for stuff. I don't know if people don't know that, but people be like praying like, God, if you just get me out of this, it doesn't work like that. That's not how prayer works. Prayer is not a petition to God to get something. Prayer is believing already that what you want is already here. So if you already believe that something is here, you're going to act as if it's here. If the radio station says it's going to rain today or tomorrow, right? You're going to pack an umbrella to work, or you're going to dress differently if it's going to rain than if it doesn't rain. So there is no difference with anything that you want in your life. If a lot of people be like, well, I'm praying for this and I'm asking for this. Asking is only wanting. So if you're asking for something, so there's 3 steps in manifestation. It is ask, wait, receive. That's it. There's only 3 steps. You ask, whether you ask through your actions or through your words. So once you ask for something, it's already delivered to you. It just has not manifested into physical form yet. So you have to act as if it's already here. So if you're praying for a man, right, then you can't be out here acting mad single, because if you had a man, you wouldn't be acting single. And if you have a man, you're not going to have snacks and a remote on the other side of the bed. It's going to be a man there. So you can't have your Cheetos and your soda in the bed. Hold on. Right? So you got to act as if. Make space in your closet. Make room in your life for somebody else to be there. If you're saying you want money, if you're you want to manifest more money, then stop complaining that you don't have it. Whatever it is that you want, you have to act like you already have it, unless you want to keep getting what you keep getting, which is why you keep getting it, because you keep talking about it. Stop talking about stuff so much, because honestly, the reality of it is nobody be caring. Like, you ever notice you go to say hi to somebody and you go, hey, how you doing? And before you could get the answer out, they're already gone, because low key, everybody else already has their own problems. So they don't really necessarily want to add yours to theirs. So just stop talking about it. Act as if it's not there. You have to pretend that the situation you're in and you don't like does not exist. Just overlook it. That's the best way. That's the best way to manifest, and that's the best way to utilize the law of attraction. A lot of people don't know how to utilize it, but it's one of those things. I think Joanna was telling me that she had watched The Secret, and it was talking about thank God that all of our thoughts don't manifest right away, because every thought you have would be here. So thank God that there's a grace period before you ask for something or think something and then it shows up for you. The next one was the law of cause and effect. So remember, every action has a reaction. For every cause, there's an effect, and for every effect, that leads to another cause and another effect. So everything in life is cause and effect. There is no such thing as something just happened to you. There was a cause. So all of these laws are basically boiling down to one thing, which is self-accountability. That's what it's boiling down to. Cause and effect. I know I be shifting my thoughts too, Mac. I be trying. And sometimes it's hard though. Like, it's hard to shift the thoughts because what happens is when you think a thought, mad other thoughts that are like it come, and then now you just in a rabbit trail of bad thoughts. Like, you think one bad thought, you ever, something happens at work, right? This happens to a lot of people I know, like coworkers. Something that happened at work, the boss will come in and say something, and then you're like, oh no, I think I'm about to be in trouble. Then the boss looks like she's mad, and you're like, oh God, what did I do? Did I do something? Now your whole day, you are racking in mad thoughts of, am I in trouble? Is she going to call me in the office? Is she going to say something? I have somebody that I know like that, and I just be like, stop tripping. Like, she didn't say anything. And don't worry about it until she does say something. You are dragging your own self through the mud with your thoughts, and it didn't even happen yet. Like, wait for stuff to happen and then have a thought about it. Don't think it into existence before it even happens. Like, you'll come in a room and then everybody stop talking. You'll be like, oh my God, everybody was probably talking about me. No, they wasn't. They could have just all happened to stop talking at the same time. Like, people are weird. Their minds get the best of them. We all are. I'm not talking about y'all. I'm saying we all are weird. Our minds just get the best of us because it's based on our perceptions and our own traumas. So like, if you had trauma in an area, then it's going to show up. And when it shows up, you're going to assume, because that's how our brains work, you're going to assume that the same thing that happened last time is going to happen this time when it's an entirely different situation. So sometimes you are in the middle of your own self-fulfilling prophecies. So that's the law of cause and effect. There was always a cause, there is always an effect, and then that effect leads to another cause. Oh, the book teach you to change the shifting. I didn't know that, because you know what? I never read the book. I only saw the movie. Like I only saw the show. And once I saw the show, I was like, ooh, I want to be a metaphysician. So I think, what was that? The law of cause and effect. So that was the last one out. I think that was the one that I stopped on. So now we are going to restart. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my journey into femininity, but I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to do it now or if I'm going to do it after I'm done with the laws. I don't know. Maybe after I'm done with the laws, because one of the laws is about that. All right, so let's go to law number 7. Oh, I think we did this one though. I think we did it. Yes, the law of compensation. So what this law says is that what you put out comes back. And it could come out back in many forms. Remember, I talked about the soda machine. Like a lot of times people will be like, listen, if you go to the soda machine costs $1. Right? And you put in 2 quarters and 2 dimes, you're getting nothing out of the machine. So that's what happens in life. We all be feeling like we deserve and we earn all this stuff, and you didn't put in enough to get it. People just want successful businesses. You're not going to just get a successful business. You have to put in time, work, and sacrifice to have a successful business. But then people put in time, work, and then leave out sacrifice. Or people will put in time and sacrifice and leave out work. They want everybody else to do the work for them. People will leave out the investment part of having to have a new business. Like you want everybody else to invest in you, but you haven't invested in yourself. You just defied a law right there. How are you going to want somebody else to do for you what you won't even do for you? It just doesn't work like that. Wait, I have 6 listed. Okay. Oh, okay. So wait. 6 is the law of cause and effect, and then 7 is the law of compensation. Yes, so you got to be willing to put in what you want to get out of life. So a lot of times you would be like, listen, I don't understand why my business is not successful. I don't understand why nobody's coming to me. I don't understand why nobody's supporting me. Do you support people's businesses? Do you steal from people's businesses? I don't understand why people keep stealing from my business. Do you steal from people's businesses? I don't understand why people don't come. Do you go to people's businesses? If you're a small business, right? So that's how I feel about tipping. I'm a business that gets tips. So I don't go to places and not tip, because how am I going to go to a place and not tip and then expect people to tip me? It's like weird. We want stuff out of life that we're not willing to put in. Whatever you put in the ground, gotta come out. So if you plant roses, you get roses. If you plant spinach, you get spinach. If you plant cilantro, you get cilantro. So the law of compensation just says that what you put into this world, what you plant into the physical ground and the spiritual ground, has to come back up. Kind of reminds you of the law, of you reap what you sow, or seed, time, and harvest, or karma. Like, what goes out comes back. There's no missing out on that one. All right, so now we are on, I think it's number 8, and that is the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. So this law means that we possess the power to change the conditions of our lives. That's what that means. It means that energy is always moving, it's always flowing. Nothing's stagnant. Everything is always in flux. So if everything's in flux, that means that things can change. The pendulum of life always swings up and down and up and down. So what goes up must come down. If you're down, it has to go back up. So that leads you to have faith in there's seasons of change. So you have to know that no season lasts always. Yes, winter now. Well, we're not in winter. I'm just saying, like, we have a winter season where it's dried up, everything's cold. You don't plant nothing during that season because nothing's going to come up anyway. It's going to die. So that's the time where you kind of stay inside and you reflect and you, look at what's going on in your life. And then when springtime comes, it is time for things to bear fruit. So whatever you planted the season before, it's supposed to come up in the spring, late spring. So a lot of times, remember I was talking about, I don't know if you guys saw this video, but I was talking about when to sow your New Year's resolution. So everybody does New Year's resolutions and nobody follows through. And the reason why is because you cannot plant into frozen ground. So we're Americans and we be making stuff up as we go along. I don't know who came up with New Year's resolution that we're supposed to make big, huge goals for our life in the winter. It doesn't work like that. So you can't be having your big goal happen in the winter. Nothing's going to happen. You are supposed to plant your seed before the first frost hits the ground. So in real life, I did do this. I went to go plant. I went to Home Depot. I bought mad seeds. I was about to go sick with my garden, right? Then my sister-in-law was like, I don't think it's the time to plant that. And I was like, no, we're fine. Like the first frost has happened, or like it's not about to snow again. It's fine. We're in April. I'm about to be able to, like, it's okay. She was like, I don't know. I feel like we're going to still have bad weather. And I was like, no, I planted every last seed, tilled the ground, added the fertilizer, did everything I was supposed to do. And guess what, y'all? It sleeted the next night and I cried because I knew that all those seeds was going to waste. Nothing was going to come up. So if I'm going to do that physically before the first frost hits the ground, then spiritually and mentally, you have to plant your goals and your seeds before the first frost hits the ground. Okay. So usually that is around September 21st, I think, before the winter solstice starts. You're supposed to plant your spiritual seeds then. Okay. So that's where you're doing your prayer, your meditation. In the winter, everything's cultivating is underneath. But by April, May, June, your stuff will start to sprout up. So the law of perpetual transmutation of energy talks about higher vibrations, making you have higher vibrations. So be careful who you hang around also. Like, you know how they say birds of a feather flock together? They do. Lower vibrational people like lower vibrational people. If you are negative and gossipy and just, I don't even know, because I just can't be around it now at this point in juncture in my life. But if you're like that, you usually like being around people like that, because if you're low-key negative and gossipy and somebody else is positive and uplifting, you guys don't align. You have nothing to talk about, because the person that's vibrating positively doesn't have any interest in what you're talking about. And if you're vibrating negatively, you're not going to have any interest in what they're talking about, because you're going to try to find the negative in everything while they're trying to find the positive in everything. So be careful who you hang around. After a while, sometimes when you elevate in life and you evolve, people in your life fall away. And there's a reason why. And when they fall away, it usually doesn't come with extreme hurt. It just falls away. And it's usually because you're not aligned. And that's with friendships, relationships, jobs, all of that. Once you're not aligned anymore, it's time for you to go. And if you try to stay somewhere longer than the expiration date, then don't go by me, because all my stuff caught on fire. So I don't know. I know I was supposed to not be there, and then the next thing I know, I came home and everything burnt up. So don't do. Paulette, your birthday is in September. Hi, Penny. Yeah, so you're supposed to plant, you know, around before the first solstice. So stop doing New Year's resolutions, people. They don't work. You're not gonna make it. Okay. I can't see y'all. Hold on. I feel terrible. But this is crazy because my notes are over here. All right. So remember, again, everything's in flux. Another thing is to be aware of all the time and trying to manifest is what your energy feels like. Does your energy feel low or high? If your energy is feeling low and you wake up sad or depressed, then understand that whatever it is that you want, you're pushing it farther away from you in that very moment. The key to manifestation is trying to feel good as often as you can. When you're feeling good, that means that your thoughts are in good places and that what you're desiring is making its way to you. The moment that you start feeling down and low and downcast and depressed and pointing out negative things and seeing everything negative, everything you want is being pushed away. You're repelling it away from you. Nothing. People don't even want to be around people that's negative. What makes you think your car that you're trying to manifest want to be around you? What makes you think the money you're trying to manifest wants to be around you? What makes you think the house you're trying to manifest wants to open its doors to you? Nothing wants to be around anything that's low energy. So if your energy feels like that, that means your thoughts are going in a downward spiral, because your emotions and your feelings follow your thoughts. So if you're thinking good, you usually are feeling good. If you're thinking bad, you're usually feeling bad. And when you're feeling bad, you're repelling your manifestation. So try your best. And the good thing about it is that it doesn't matter what you're feeling good about. It don't got to be about what you want. So let's just say you're desiring a husband, but what you're laughing at and what you're feeling good about is your puppy or your cat doing something wild. It doesn't matter what you're feeling good about. Whatever it is that you want is still making its way to you. So it's not like you got to like manufacture it and be like, ooh, let me pretend I got my car. Just think thoughts that make you feel good, whether it is about your child, doing something funny, hanging out with your friends, having a good time, having a lot of laughs, watching your puppies, doing something crazy. Anything that makes you feel good helps keep you in a state of manifestation. Anytime you're feeling low, so just remember that. And that's it. Don't talk a lot about what you're going through. So this one's a little bit confusing because you want to validate it to yourself, but a lot of people love telling their story over and over and over and over and over again. Like after a while, nobody wants to hear that, and you shouldn't want to hear it. So like, it's okay to have one person that you kind of vent to and you get it off you, and then you kind of go mosey on about your business. But you don't got to tell 20 people the same story that happened to you. Like, you just want to keep reliving it. You just want to keep feeling the sad feeling that happened when it happened. Like, I be trying to figure out when I see people doing stuff, even with my students, I be like, y'all, stop talking about it. Like, yes, something happened at school the other day, and this girl asked another girl, like, can you throw this in the trash for me? And yeah, it was awkward. It was like a socially awkward moment, because it was kind of like, girl, you could have threw that in the trash yourself. Are you trying to be funny? You being entitled? Like, she's already doing something, and you're like, can you throw this in the trash for me? But then the girl that was upset about it did worse than the girl that said, can you throw this away from me? So now she's spreading the story to everybody. Oh my God, because I don't like stuff like that. And you know what? You got the wrong one today. Can you just be quiet? Like, yeah, it was enough. Enough was enough. But all you have to do is say it and move on. You don't got to keep harping about it and keep talking about it and keep trying to bring other people in it. Keep trying to add other people to the story. Like, stop. Because now what you're doing is 10 times worse than what you feel that girl did. So when you're continuing to repeat your story, what you're doing to yourself is 10 times worse than what the story did to you. That's why when people hear me talk about my husband having an affair with my best friend and I don't be crying, it's because, well, first of all, it was a long time ago. We're like cool now. Like, I don't even think about it. When I see him, that's not something I think about. But it's one of those things like, why am I going to keep talking about it? Like, I just want to stay the victim. And remember, I said there's no victims and there's no villains. Like, even if somebody does something to you, there is something that you did, whether it was in deed or thought, that brought it on. So again, I said to myself, like, hey, I asked him, what could I have done better? But I also have, every woman is afraid of a man cheating on her. So if you're afraid of that, you're only going to bring exactly what you're afraid happening. You're going to bring it to the table. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whatever it is that you're like always afraid of happening, that's exactly what's going to happen. So good luck. Stop. So that's why now I have this thing, like, I don't assume. I don't make assumptions. I don't think if something looks and feels funny, I'll keep an eye out on it. But I'm not going to be like, ooh, because they probably did this and they probably was out here calling somebody behind my back. And if I go through the phone, I'm going to find some texts. I don't have time for that. I feel like if something I need to know, it'll fall on my lap and I will have to deal with it once that falls in my lap. But what I'm not going to do is think it into existence. So be careful about your thought process. This all goes back to your thoughts. That's what a metaphysician does. They know how thoughts create things. Your thoughts and your feelings and emotions create your reality. That's just how it works. So your thoughts emits vibrations. Your thoughts emit signals and frequencies that we don't see or hear. You know how they got dog whistles, right? So a lot of times people be like, well, I don't know if this works, because how can you tell if it works? Well, one, if you went to church even a day in your life, you will know that church helps you because it lets you know that there's forces outside of you that are helping things to happen. But once you get even a little bit deeper into that, like when I became a metaphysician, it was kind of like, oh, okay, now this all makes sense. Now 1 + 1 actually equals 2, because the Bible has a lot of holes in it, y'all. It got a lot of unanswered questions in there. So if you really, really, really study the Bible, you know there's a lot of holes. There's a lot of holes in there. Like, I don't know. But yeah, so just make sure you keep your thoughts in good alignment. I was talking about the dog whistle. Your dog, it's like you have a dog whistle. You whistle you blow the whistle. Nobody else can't hear the dog whistle but dogs. So just because something is outside of our frequencies don't mean that it doesn't exist. It's there. The same way when you get an X-ray, there's frequencies being emitted that you can't see or feel. There's things that happen in doctor's offices, like ultrasounds. You can't see or feel it, but there is a frequency being emitted that's creating a picture. Light. None of us know how electricity works. We just don't. All we know is we turn the switch on and it comes on. Where does it come from? We don't know. When does it end? It doesn't. Electricity and power is here, whether we know how it works or not. It's just here. So it bothers me when it comes to spiritual stuff, people be like, well, I need to know how it works. No, you don't, because you don't know how electricity, you got your air fryer on. All you know is that the air fryer turns on. That's it. And that's all you need to know. So keep your thoughts in good vibrations. The next one is the law of relativity. And this law encourages us to keep things in perspective, y'all. You know those people that like make mountains out of molehills, like they just always making things bigger than what they really are, or the people that make things smaller than what they really are. Keep things in perspective. So this is how you keep yourself feeling better, right? So all of my stuff burned up and I was upset about that. But somebody else's house burned up and then they lost their child. So I got to keep what happened to me in perspective, because it could always be worse. So there's always that's going to be somebody lower than you and always somebody higher than you. We have a habit of looking at things that are better and higher than us and wanting to be there while losing the appreciation of where we are right now. So the key is always appreciation. That's how you keep your manifestations going. You have to be in an appreciative state of your present now. So don't think about the past and definitely don't think about the future. But what's happening in your present is it should be appreciation happening in where you are. So like, listen, think of all the good things that you got going on, right? You got kids, are they healthy? If you don't have a car, do your feet work? Can you get to the bus? Because there's some people that can't. And it can get worse and worse and worse. So, yeah, if you got things that are going on that are good for you, so what that you had more week than money this week? Like, that's fine, because there's some people that don't have a job at all. And there's some people that can't find a job. And there's some people that made terrible decisions as a kid, and now this is where they are in life now. Like, even when my job gets on my nerves, I'd be like, I could be working. I'm not even gonna say it because then people gonna think that I'm talking about them or their job. But like, I could be like, you know what job scares me the worst in the world is Home Depot. Like, I can't work at home. When I go inside Home Depot, I get anxiety. So my worst thing is like, well, I could just be working at Home Depot right now. Like, I just feel like that's a man's job. I don't ever feel like I should see a lady in Home Depot working. Even if she's in the cash register, like, I just don't feel like it's an environment that ladies should be in. I don't know. Like, I'd rather be in fast food than Home Depot. Like, I don't know. I just can't do it. But things always be worse, right? So, I mean, think of it like that. Things could always be better. Things could always be worse. But the pendulum of life always swings up and down, right? So if things seem down, they have to go up at some point. They just have to. The key is just not giving up, not allowing the circumstance to keep you mentally in a place that's dark. So even if you are mentally in a place that's dark, try to get yourself in a place that feels better at all times. Like, even there's a thing that I do, I always go to the water. So like, if I'm not feeling my best, I'll just go to the water. Like, the beach makes me feel good. Even if it's like a running stream, like, I'll do that too. So find something that, can make you feel a little bit better. And also, another thing about the law of relativity is trying to stay neutral. Neutral keeps the manifestation train rolling. Don't label things as good or bad. Like, oh, well, remember when the Will Smith thing happened? Like, I didn't really have much judgment because I'm like, well, he shouldn't have said what he said. He shouldn't have smacked him, but he did. Now, like, there's just consequences to action. So there's cause and effect. You said something, you got smacked, and now you're in. There's always cause and effect. So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, it happened. There was a cause, there was an effect, there was another cause. I'm sorry, y'all. The dog is crying because the baby came down here. So it's all about being neutral. Nothing is good or bad, because here's the thing. It's only good or bad in comparison to something else. So that's when people are looking at their life as good or bad. Like, oh my God, my life could be better. That's because you're comparing it to something else or somebody else's life. It's yours. I can't stand when people be like, well, I don't really care about, I don't do my makeup for I do it for myself. Lies. You are lying. Stop lying and saying you're doing it for yourself. Because if nobody else was here, you wouldn't care. You ever notice, like, when you was a teenager, you go to the basketball court and then the guys start going sick playing basketball, mad hard body, like trying to dunk and go sick, and it's because girls came on the court. Everybody cares. What's that? Okay, everybody cares in comparison to somebody else. If you show up somewhere, if guys are just with guys wouldn't care about haircuts if girls wasn't on the planet. They wouldn't care about their beards being nice and lined up and soft if girls weren't here. And girls wouldn't care about getting as cute and as pretty if guys weren't here. So stop lying. I can't stand it, huh? The blue one? Mm-hmm. Oh. Hi, Leary. So listen, let's just stop. We gotta tell the truth. So nothing is good or bad until it's in comparison to something else. So just don't compare. Don't compare. Women wouldn't know what fat or skinny was until they're around somebody else bigger or smaller. Like, when my husband be like, oh, you mad short. And compared to what? Tall people? I'm not short or tall. I'm my size. Now, granted, statistically, based on numbers, I am short. The average height of a woman is 5'5", but still, like, short compared to what? To who? Like, it doesn't matter. I'm my height. So choose your perspective. All right. Now we have the law of polarity. And what that means is everything has an opposite. This goes into masculine and femininity. This goes into your complete polar opposite. What goes up must come down. What goes down must come up. Yin and yang, black and white, opposites attract. It's only through rain that you appreciate the sun. And it's only through, bad times that you actually realize how good things are. And it's only during the times where things are good that you realize how bad something was. So there's a law of polarity that says that everything has its complete polar opposite. So if you're in a situation, everything is only two sides of the same coin. So if something is going bad, there is an absence of the good that's supposed to be happening. So you got to just try to flip the coin to go in your direction. And it's hard to flip the coin, but you flip it again through your thoughts and through your feelings. So everything is an opposite side of the coin. So let's just say you have a terrible relationship. Your relationship is not doing well. Your husband doesn't like you. He doesn't respect you. He's cheating. He's doing everything that he shouldn't be doing, or everything that you don't like that he's doing. There's an exact opposite side to that coin that you could manifest. But because you're so focused on what he isn't, you'll never be able to experience what is. So you got to be able to flip that coin, and that is really individual to the person, and what the specific situation is. All right. Everything is also a learning experience through the law of polarity. So by finding out what is or what isn't, you realize what you want and what you don't want. So there's nothing that happens to you that's actually ever bad. It just causes you to ask for something different. So if you have a bad relationship, then it's not really bad. It just taught you what you don't want. And now you know what you do want. Now you can move toward that. So it's not necessarily bad. It's just a perspective. The next one, hold on, y'all, because y'all know I'm not savvy. I'm trying to find got it. The law of rhythm. Absolutely. It's an experience. That's it. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's just an experience. The law of rhythm. But again, Joanna, remember I was saying that you choose what shows up in your experience. So it's up to you. Everybody's story is not the same. So you choose what shows up in your experience. You even choose how people show up in your experience. You got to think, this is a movie. I'm the star, right? You're the star of your movie. So who the characters are, you pick them. You are the producer and the director of your life. So what is Tiff talking about?
How do you have the words on the screen?
Because I'm putting them up there. Oh. Not her being in the room and still watching it and asking questions. That is crazy. I can't, y'all. So again, you are the producer and the director of your movie. So at any given point in time, you could be like, cut, wrong scene. Okay, I don't like this. We got to change this up. Okay, I don't like how you're showing up. I don't like how you're showing up. I don't like how this is showing up. I got to change this movie. Okay, so you choose how people show up in your life. So if your husband or boyfriend or girlfriend is being disrespectful, I don't like how you're showing up. I don't like how you're showing up in my experience. I choose how things show up in my experience. Period. Okay? So, y'all, you don't like what's showing up? Change the script. The script is based on you. Okay? Because listen, you could show up in somebody else's experience like that, but don't show up in mine like that. And that's why people don't understand how they'll be like, well, he didn't act like that with me because I choose how somebody shows up for me. You choose. You are the only one that has that power, man, woman alike. Listen, there are things that happen, whether it's with, relationships, landlords, job. Listen, I have a job and I have a boss. It's hard to even call her my boss though. because she doesn't call me an employee. She calls me her friend. And everybody else walks around, and when they see her come, they get like weird and scared. And I'll be like, what are y'all doing? They'd be like, she looks mad. She looks upset. No, she doesn't. Not to me. And then they'll be like, oh, yeah, she got on my case. She said this. I'd be like, she never does that. It's almost like she just shows up, in my experience, different than she does for everybody else, I guess. But it's up to you. This is all up to you, y'all. It's not like you're powerless to change a situation. You are the only one with the power to change a situation. But you got to shift your mindset about it. That's how it works. You cannot go into anything with the woe is me victim mentality. You just can't. You got to move around it. Put your big girl panties on and just be like, all right, well, this is what it is. Well, now I know what needs to be shifted. Now I have another work to do. You can shift anything you want to shift. Understand that it takes time, patience, mental acuity, and control of your emotions and your feelings. That's it. But everything else you can change. Mental acuity, meaning you got to be mentally strong. Like, it doesn't matter what thought comes in there that's negative, shoot it out, because the body can't think of two things at once. So the moment you think of something negative, swap it. Change it right away. Try, because if you don't, you're only going to attract more bad thoughts that are like that, and you're going to attract more bad into your life that you don't want. So the law of rhythm, right? This says that everything has a cycle and a stage of development. So nothing happens overnight, people. There is a cycle and a stage of development. There are seasons, right? We see this with nature. Seasons changing. We see it with aging, time and movement, but it also applies to our life stages. What I think and the things that I go through now are so much easier and lighter than the things that I went through at 22, because my mental is different at this age than it was at 22. So everything has seasons and everything has stages, life stages. So y'all, there's something that I wanted, and I likened it to being pregnant. So this is what I did. I wrote it out, right? I went through every single stage. So when a woman is first impregnated, there's nothing showing. You can't see anything. As a matter of fact, it looks worse than it does better. So when a woman gets pregnant, the seed is there and it's growing and it's going to become something, but it hasn't became yet. So now, as a matter of fact, she's probably throwing up. She's sick. She's tired. She doesn't feel well. So when a woman first gets pregnant, it actually looks worse than it does good. But now, and so about month one through three, you're not going to see much manifestation once the seed is planted. You're just not, because nothing shows between month 1 through 3. Then you have 4 through 6, where you have like a little bump. Your appetite is better. You're feeling good about it. You're feeling lighter, but the birth can't happen yet, or it's going to be premature. So just because you're showing and just because the seed planted, don't mean it's time for it to come out yet. Doesn't mean it's time for it to show up for you yet. A lot of times we be rushing our stuff. We be like, I got the seed and the baby is getting big. Okay, let me push it out now. That baby dead. Because it's not supposed to come out at 4 months. It's supposed to wait until 9. Full gestation. Otherwise, it's going to need intervention to live. It's going to need help to survive. So you don't want to prematurely have something be birthed in your life just because you want it. So give things a season. So now 4 through 6, you're showing. Everybody else is evident to you. It's evident to everybody around you that you're having a baby now. But we all know that it's not ready yet. Then 7 to 9, you're about to pop. You look big, but guess what? From 7 on, the lungs are not still ready yet. So you're not supposed to still have the baby at 7. Even as big as you are, you're not supposed to have it yet. And At this point, you're sick of everybody saying, when you going to drop that baby? Like, shut the hell up. It's coming. But that's what happens in real life. Like, everybody's like, oh, when this going to happen? When you going to do this? When you going to do this? Wait on it. Because the manifestation is not supposed to be here yet. Give something full gestational periods, whatever that is. And it depends on the seed, because all seeds are different. Baby seeds for humans take 9 months, but baby seeds for elephants take 2 years. Seeds for cilantro take about 8 weeks. Seeds for cucumbers, tomatoes, and things like that, the weather got to be right. You can't plant oranges in Connecticut. Not good ones. They're not going to taste good. So your environment has to be right, and where the seed is planted and what you're doing. So there are factors that are always in play when planting a seed. Is the environment right for the seed? Is the soil good for the seed? Is it time for the seed to come? You got to think about all that. So that's the law of rhythm. And then the last one is the law of gender. So the law of gender, Tip thinks I'm typing this and I'm not.
Where are you getting it from?
My program. Crazy. So the law of gender, it has very little to do with biological sex. Like, it has nothing to do with like whether you was born a girl or a boy. So like, I'm not even gonna get into that. But it refers to the fact that there's 2 major types of energy. So you could think of it as masculine and feminine, yin and yang, anima and animus. There's a lot of different Shakti and Shiva. There's a lot of different names for the law of gender. But we must all understand both and the balance between the two to live authentically. You have to have a balance between masculine and feminine in your mind and in your body in order to become a master of yourself. So I know that I teach a lot about femininity, especially in here, because this is a divine feminine group. But I also don't discount the masculinity that lives inside of us, because it's there for a reason. It just needs to be shut off when you are in the presence of a masculine. So this is what women don't understand. And this, now I'm going to tell you about the journey into femininity. This is what women don't understand. Listen, I got 2 people in here while I'm doing this, and they get it on my nerves, to be quite 100% honest. My brother-in-law need to be kicked out. He told me it was going to be 10 minutes, and he's still down here. 10 minutes has been an hour. Because now he's trying to get in the divine feminine group, because I don't let men in here. You know what I'm saying? They said wrong. Trying to be down here. Get out. So this is what women do not understand. And men don't either. But we're talking to women. What exactly, Joanne? Trying to learn. Get out of here. He probably got a little notepad. He probably got his phone on record and about to have me. Don't do it, because I don't trust him. So listen. So what men don't understand about masculine and feminine is that true masculinity knows when to drop. So masculinity doesn't mean macho. That's what people think. Macho is a form of ego. And ego has no place here. Ego shouldn't be in women or men. It's not bad, but your ego is here to protect you. That's what it's here for. But the journey to masculine and feminine is all about vulnerability. So ego has to kind of like go out the door. But what I will say, though, is that if you continue to feed your ego is always going to be bigger than the spirit man that's inside of you. That's your authentic self. So now you're going to be so whichever one you feed is like a monster. It's like if you got 2 people, because we all got 2 people living on the inside of us, our ego version of ourselves and our God side of ourselves that is pure, unadulterated love and spirit and vulnerability, because that's what love is. So if you're constantly feeding the ego part is this big old King Kong, and then the part that's your spirit looks like olive oil. So your ego is always going to overpower the olive oil spirit man of yours. So you have to start feeding your spirit more than you're feeding your ego so that your ego can get small and your spirit can get big. And that's the imbalance that most people have. Most people operate in your ego 90% of the time because they're in a state of protection because of trauma. So if you're in a state of protection because of trauma, your ego is always going to precede you because it has to protect some version of yourself. So what ego does is it makes sure nobody takes advantage of you. Your ego is all about survival as well. So your ego doesn't care nothing about what you want in the future. All it knows is you're safe here and now. So even if you want something that seems good, your ego will be like, well, you want all this money, you want to be successful, but then what? What comes with that? So it always is trying to keep you right here, right now, because this is where you're safe. So it's hard to manifest operating in your ego because it's not here to let you get anywhere else except for where you are right now. So a lot of times, in order to not operate in ego, you have to step outside of yourself in the present moment. So let's say something happens to you. Let's say somebody talks to you a certain way. Let's say somebody does something to you that would have brought out a certain reaction. You always have to stop, breathe, and think about the next reaction. If you stop, breathe, and think about it, usually you're not going to do what the ego wants you to do, unless your ego at this point is so big that it just overpowers, it bullies everything. So that's first and foremost. You gotta to work your ego out. But the second thing about masculine and feminine and being a master of yourself is understanding when to utilize which one. So the problem that women have is not that you have masculine in you, it's that you don't know how to turn it off when you're in front of masculine. So we have both, right? And when there's a man around, you need to turn yours completely off, or they're going to be turned completely off. It's just period. That's like on Mary Had a Little Lamb. Like you're never going to be more of a man than a man is. And that's where we get it messed up. But what men don't understand is that I see you, Joanna. What men don't understand, though, is that you can't be macho in front of the feminine because the feminine is always going to test it. It's always going to test your love, your patience, your resilience. And it's not a test that y'all think like, oh, I'm about to send him this nasty message. It's not that type of test. It's going to be a subtle and subconscious test because feminine is always testing the masculine. That's just what we do. Like not we, but that's what the feminine energy does. It tests the masculine. It can't help it. Like we're going to do things and say things and be things that are going to have the potential to bring out the ego or the macho side of the man to see what he's going to do. And then it never balances out that way. So when you are in front of the masculine, turn yours down. Turn yours off if you can. Because another thing about masculine is it does not rise up unless it's required. So being a man, or I don't even know how to say that, but being a man is not easy. They got to deal with like things in the world, like providing, protecting, having a family. Like if you have a family, your job is to provide and protect for that family. That's what men do. But then they got to go out into the world and deal with violence and danger and ego and doing things that they just don't really feel like doing. Lift weights that we don't have the ability to lift. Mental weight, physical weight, spiritual weight. They have a hefty load that we don't have, right? So now that they have this entire load, if you don't step down and have them do what's required, they're just not going to do it. They don't have a reason to. So if you want to be the man in your relationship, when I say the man in your relationship, I mean like you want to, nobody's saying not be independent. I mean, although we are dependent, I don't even know how. Like, I know it sounds terrible, but like, we can't survive without men. And when women say like, why do we need men? It's the weirdest thing to me ever. Like, how dare you say we don't need men here? Like, why? Because the cushies that they already did are already here. The car you drive, ma'am, was made by a man. So just because you can get in the car and get to your little job, you needed a man to get you there because you couldn't even drive if not. The building that you walk into every day was made by a man. The bridge that you cross over to get to your job was made by a man because it's too dangerous for us. Our bodies can't handle the pressure of being underwater that long. But the people that make the bridges be dying, y'all, underneath the water, getting crushed by water pressure, a job that we could never do. This internet and the electricity and the wires, a man. The crab legs that we love so delicately. Oh, we love it. You know, like 500 men a year die crabbing. Because we can't be under there getting the crabs. Like, we want to eat it. We want to slop it up in the butter, but we can't crab. We do crush wine, the little grapes with our feet for the wine, because nobody want no man feet crushing the grapes, but they don't do that no more anyway. So, it's weird. Bye, y'all.
Our session is over.
Your session is yeah.
We're gonna crush some grapes.
So now, it baffles me when we say that. When I hear women say that, you sitting here lying. Yes, we do need them. Absolutely, we need them. I don't get it. So you just got to know how to turn it off. So my journey came because it's very hard, but women who did not have a strong father figure, a lot of times, so I got to see masculine and feminine in the house because my mom and dad lived together. My dad was the worker and the provider. My mother never had to work. All she had was a little side hustle. She had a jewelry business. She did some mortgages for like a real estate agent. Everything she did was never to punch a clock. She did what she wanted to do when she wanted to do it. She was able to be at all our dance recitals, take us to dance class, be at all our track meets. There was nothing that my mother had to miss because my father was working. So my father missed a lot of our things because he was usually working. He would come to big things like our recital, our state track meets, but like our regular stuff, like every day, my father was the one working. He worked very, very, very hard to create a life for us that we all enjoyed living. My mother was a very feisty woman, and I learned certain things to not do from her that she learned later on. My mom and my father had some issues in the beginning, and it's in my book, like the book that I have coming out, The Art of Feminine Allure. But they had some issues while we was growing up. They used to fight all the time. Me and my brother could tell a ton of stories, and all of a sudden something shifted in their relationship. And it was when my mother realized, like, I have trauma from my childhood. And your father had grown up in a house where his parents were still married. So he believed in commitment and loyalty. My mom grew up in a house where my grandmother and her father got divorced because her father was, she would call him a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. So she ended up saying that she was always testing him to see if he was going to leave her. And once she realized that that's what she was doing, and she acknowledged it and owned it, she was able to shift her behavior in order to become a better wife to him. So they ended up becoming relationship coaches. We learned so much from them. And my journey to femininity started, again, when I was a child. My father never required, and our mother never required for us to go to college. They never was like, oh, yeah, I need to go to college, get a career, girl, because you don't be out here letting no man take care of you. My mother was taken care of. So I don't know what it's like to have to work and be the breadwinner. Like that feels awkward to me. I don't like it, and it's because I didn't grow up like that. So I grew up with watching a man provide everything he could. Now, granted, we are in 2022 and the economy is bad. So we need mainly two incomes to survive now. It's very hard to survive off of one person's income. So now we have let me take that off now. With lives where we have to work. We can't just sit home and be pretty anymore. But at the end of the day, that still should not tap into whether you're being feminine or not. Working and having a job has nothing to do with you being feminine or masculine. It is the independency and acting as if you don't need a man and becoming a man in front of a man. Did you guys see that thing I posted earlier where that guy threw the drink on that girl? And she realized that he threw a drink on her and turned around and started fighting him. Now, I looked at it and I said, what else could have been done here? Because one, men have to be held accountable by other men, not by women. So that could have went very, very, very dangerous for her trying to fight that grown man. Because if he's disrespectful enough to throw a drink on you and assault you in that way, then he might just be drunk enough or out of his mind enough to hit you back. So at that point, it is a man that needs to hold another man accountable. Men have to protect women, and men need to be, you have to be protected by another man. Even when you're being like assaulted by your husband or in a relationship, another man usually has to be the one to intervene, unless you're going to use a weapon that usually a man made. So once again, I don't know how we saying we don't need them. It's weird to me, but that femininity, that feminist movement has killed us all. So that's how my journey started with my parents. I will say this though. Ooh, transparent moment, y'all. So my first husband, the one that cheated, right? I never had to work when I was married to him. So he took care of all the bills. I stayed home with the kids. I was a hairdresser, but I had a little area in my house. I would do hair at home, do makeup at home. And I would go back into the workforce when my kids got of age, but my check was my check. It didn't go to the house. It went to things like us going out to eat, vacation time, and things like that. His bills paid for the house stuff. But then I ended up marrying my second husband, who believed in the same thing, that men are supposed to pay the bills and women show up and you're able to do what you want to do creatively. But then he ended up having a hard time financially, and there was a lot of turmoil and problems that we had in the beginning of our relationship that caused me to not want to be a wife to him. Like, why am I offering femininity and my good wifely duties to a man who's undeserving of it? So I actually ended up turning very masculine in that relationship for a season, because I was constantly taking care of myself. I was constantly left alone. I felt like I had no provision. I felt like I had no real protection. I just felt like he was out doing whatever he wanted to do, when he wanted to do it, with whoever he wanted to do it with. And I was just struggling, always working hard. Then I ended up separating. And once we separated, now I really had to work and struggle, because I had the kids and I had to work and I had to figure things out. We didn't get divorced though. We just got separated. And that turned me masculine. Like, that's why I say I don't believe that women should be single for more than 6 months, or you're going to have to tap into your masculinity hard body. You're just going to have to tap into it. You're going to have to start budgeting bills. The weight of the world is going to start to feel like it's on your shoulders. You're going to be tired. You're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to be overworked and underpaid. It's crazy. So you start to feel that burden that I was talking about earlier that men feel. You start to feel that burden on yourself, but that's not a burden that women are prepared or even built to take on. So we are essentially killing ourselves by trying to be masculine because it is not something that we're supposed to take on. It is only supposed to come on when there's no men present and there's protection needed. That's it. That's how you become the master of self. Knowing when to operate in your feminine and knowing when to operate in your masculine. The sad part about it is just most women don't know how to turn it off when they get home. So even when you go outside and you're at the gas station, you gotta turn your masculine on because you gotta be one, aware. You gotta be two, when I say aware, I mean like basically in a protective mode. Like you could go to the gas station and get robbed. At this point, you need to be looking around to see what's going on, looking for danger, looking for things that seem a little bit off. You don't necessarily have to do that when there's a man around because he's doing it. So that's where we lose it. We don't know when to turn it off. And so men can't stand that. They don't like it. It takes their purpose away when you do that. Like they have a purpose to be here. Their purpose is to provide and protect for us. If we take that away from him, we're taking away a very important and integral role that they need to have in our life. Taking that role away makes them say, then what am I doing here? Why am I still here? I'm going to go where I feel wanted and where I feel needed. Somebody before didn't agree with me. I don't know, it was in a Facebook or something. I said that women want to be wanted. Women need to be admired, adored, and appreciated. That is our number one need. We need to be admired, adored, and appreciated. We need to be adored. Men need to feel needed. So women need to feel wanted. Men need to feel needed. So yes, we both want to feel needed and wanted because we are both needed and wanted. But the bigger picture at hand is women love. A man could be with any woman. We always want to know, why'd you pick me? Like, we want to be wanted. A man doesn't care so much like, why'd you pick me, as much as they want to feel like their presence is needed in your life. And if you're constantly discounting the presence, if you're constantly like, well, you did that, but I could do that. If you're constantly like, well, I make money too. If you're constantly leading with your money, leading with accomplishments, it kind of just says like, then what do I need yours for? So we just have to be very, very, very careful of that. But I want to leave you guys with this today because I told my son that I will be there to help him shortly to clean my dad's house out. But I want to leave you with this today, is that just try your best to operate in your best self at all times. Like, these laws have... Not my cousin coming down here telling me to shut my face. Like, what is she even doing
What
here?
are you talking about? No, can you?
Beating.
Yeah. No, what's wrong with you?
I don't know if you don't want your kids today. Look at his face.
I'm hungry.
Me too. So let me leave out with this. Just try to be your best self at all times. Y'all, I'm getting bombarded. Now PB back down here. How? He went up, went down, came another way. Be your best self at all times, okay? Just try that. Let your ego go. Okay? Put her to bed. Put her to rest. When you do meet a man, try to operate in your femininity as often as possible, and I promise that man will stay around. All men are not deserving of true femininity. So that's up to you to discern whether, and you'll know it, because I was going to say a lot of women, though, with their trauma, want men to earn their femininity. They shouldn't have to earn it. You should automatically give it, and then they lose it. Like, if they mess it up, they lose it. But don't just be like, I'm not going to offer that because you didn't show me anything yet. No, they should be getting it up front, and then only they should be able to do something to lose what you offer them, but not you making them jump through hoops to get it. Because once they realize you're doing that, they're out of there. All right. These universal laws have changed my entire life. I have been using them since 2010, and my life has only been up literally since then. So, I had to learn about, we are going to talk in our next video, y'all, about how to choose the man and what the different choices are. Because we have womb choices, we have heart choices, and we have head choices. Usually our womb choice is not the best choice, but that's the one we're attracted to the most. And I'm going to get into that next time. But these laws have caused me to study so many other things. Tantra, yoga, meditation, chakra system, being in alignment. It literally has just changed my entire life. So I just want you guys to try to apply. There's more than 12 spiritual laws, but these are the 12 main ones. But there's other ones like the law of like what you resist persists, the law of allowing, different things like that. But these are your main ones. So yes, so our next live, y'all, is going to be on how to choose a good man and how to know. Like, remember I gave y'all the tips last time about like if he's a provider or protector, but this one's going to be more about you and how you feel around him. That one is going to be mainly the one that, so it's going to be your heart choice, head choice, or womb choice. Which one is he? Okay. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for supporting. And with that said, before I get interrupted again, I am going to let you guys go. But thank you so much. And those of you who got to catch the replay, post in the comments. I could always see it. And, I will be there to answer any questions that any of you guys might have. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good day and enjoy your Memorial Day holiday weekend, y'all.